Hello and welcome back to Sunday evening's second video from Cracking the Cryptic. And just a very quick reminder, do subscribe if you haven't already, do pledge to our Clickstarter if you haven't already, do become a Patreon if you haven't already, but you may have done all of those things and also bought all 5 of our apps, in which case we love you very much, thank you. Now, this puzzle is an arrow Sudoku, as you can probably see. Why the different colours? Well, just to distinguish the arrows from each other. And one of them is still very hard to distinguish, or two of them rather. There's a circle here and a circle here. And they are both adding up this chain of digits, which is 5 digits long. Now, in the original from the author Nityanth Agarwal, this was shown as one arrow was red and one arrow was yellow, and where they crossed was orange. But I don't think we can do that in our software. So you're just going to have to try and understand that, as with the rules of arrow Sudoku, the numbers along the arrow add up to the number in the circle from which that arrow emanates. So those 5 digits add up to this circle. And similarly, the same 5 digits add up to this circle. So obviously we've got plenty of other arrows in the grid. As I say, the colours are to distinguish them. And we do have the instance of 2-cell totals in a couple of cases as well. So that we've seen a few times recently. I think we have done a couple of puzzles by Nityanth before, including an arrow Sudoku with a lot of diagonal arrows. So it's clearly something he's specialising in. He credits Prasanna with improving this slightly by adding arrows, I think, which is unusual, but there we go. Let's have a go at this. Do try it on the link below the video. I think it promises to prove interesting. And I'm going to try it now, so let's get cracking. Well, what is going on with this long arrow? If they were all at their absolute minimum, we've got 1, 2, 3 is 6. And the 2 outsides must be at least 1 each. So these have to add up to 8 or 9. Now these 2 digits have to be the same, whatever they are, 8 or 9. But I think there is 1 degree of freedom along the arrow. So we can either have a 2 in one of these cells only, or this could be 1, 2, 4 instead of 1, 2, 3. But it must include the 1 and the 2 in those 3 cells in the central box. Oh, these arrows are even more helpful, actually, these blue ones. So, yes, they're absolutely fixed in a way. In the box, the minimum they can be 3 in one box is 1, 2, 3. If you add to the minimum 2 in one box of 1, 2, you get to the maximum number, which is 9, and they must be symmetrical. I think there's quite plainly an awful lot of symmetry going on in this puzzle. So that is a start. Oh, that's interesting. Look, 1 and 2 in the same row now. So this central cell can't be the 1 or 2 that must be in the middle box. So in fact, they must be in those 2 cells. Oops, I've written the wrong thing. That one is 3 or 4 now. And the 1, 2 pair are on the outside. That has to be right, I think. Yeah, it doesn't help resolve whether this is 3 or 4. 3 is more likely, but makes one of these 2. If they're maintaining the symmetry, they'll both be 1, but I don't know if that's going to apply. Oh, now what about these these kind of pillbox arrows? Oh yeah, okay, we've seen this pattern before. I think these totals have to be 36, but let me just do the logic on that. 7 cells have to add up to at least 28, but they will add up to 45 minus the value of these 2 numbers. Now, if it was 28 or 29, you'd only be subtracting 10 or 11 from 45, and you wouldn't get 28 or 29. And if this was a 4 and this was 40 something, these would definitely add up to too much, because 40 plus 4 plus 1, the minimum number is 45, but now those 2 add up to 5. and so it wouldn't be 40. Yeah, that doesn't work. It's got to begin with a 3 in both cases, and 30 plus the number, the units number, is 45 minus 3 minus the units number. So the units number is half of the difference between 42, which is 45 minus that 3, and 30, which is the absolute minimum. So that's 12. So the units number is 6. And we can just check that in our heads by 36 is 45 minus 6 minus 3. Yes, that does work. So those numbers both have to be 36, which doesn't actually get anything else done in this puzzle, because now 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 have to fill those cells in any order. I suppose the threes take 3s out of those cells, which gives us another 1, 2 pair, which would have been another way of making that not 1 or 2. But I think it's getting trickier now, actually. Decent start to the puzzle. Okay, what about these corner ones? This can't be... yeah, there's 1 or 2 in the box. So the minimum that can be in these cells is 1 and 3. That's 4. This cell can't be a 1 or 2. It's already got a 1 and 2 in the box. So that's a minimum of 3. So there's 1 degree of freedom here, I think. These could be 1 and 4. Remember, 9 is stopping that being any bigger than 8. So I think that has to be 7 or 8. The minimum here is 1, 3, and 3, making 7. Could be 1 and 4 and 3. So 3 there means that one can't be a 3. I suppose the same applies up here. Again, 1 and 3 and 3. Oh, look! Oh, this is where the symmetry changes. It's not symmetrical because, of course, 3 there is not symmetrical to a 3 there because of the way we write 2-digit numbers. What I'm saying is that these 2 3s actually rule out both of those cells from being a 3. And therefore, since they can't be 1 and 2 because of this cell in the same box, they must be at a minimum 1 and 4. And this one must be a 3 at a minimum because 1 and 2 are in the same box. And those minimums add up to the maximum this can be, which is 8. That's fantastic. Oh, I love that, how the symmetry is not the same as down here. Now we get a break-in that's useful. And that 1-4 pair makes this a 2. And that's huge because that's taken away the only degree of freedom on this long arrow. This is 9, not just because of that, but also because we got an 8 there. So now this has to be minimum. These have to be minimum, which is effectively making that a 3. This has to be 9 as well, same as this. These can't have a 1. Oh yeah, now the minimums here are 2, 3, 3, which makes 8. Perfect. That's so clever. Really nice setup to this puzzle. Very, very impressive. That 3 sees that cell. So 3 in this bottom box is there. 3 is there. We've got all of these 1, 2 pairs. Ah, yes, they're resolved here. Look, the 2, 1 pair is resolved over here. Presumably over here as well. Yes, 1, 2. That fixes the 1, 2 in the middle box. And suddenly all these pencil mark numbers, 2, 1, are coming good. And for once, it looks like I'm actually clearing up my pencil marks, which people really moan about for some reason. Can't look at everything all at once, guys. Anyway, 1, 1, 1, 1. All looking at that cell, or rather looking at every other cell in the box. And similarly up here, 1, in fact, the last 1 in the grid, I think, we get to place in the top left corner. Row 1, column 1 is a 1. So we get this far, and that is considerably further. I mean, it's a nice start. This hasn't been that hard. I wonder if this puzzle is going to continue. Now what about these greens then? It's not that easy. Oh, I see. Those two, to make sure this is the same total and to add up with 1 and 2, these two have to be next to each other. They have to be consecutive digits. But that could still even involve a 6. So that's not actually all that helpful. Is that? It's not any better over here, I don't think. Oh, let's do 3s. 3, 3. That's better. That's a better thing to do. Well, I say do 3s. That's the last 3 in the grid. Last 3 in the grid. Okay. 6 and 6 are ruling out those cells. So 6 is confined to the edges, the corners of that box. I don't know what I should be looking at. Oh, maybe 2s. 2, yes, 2 goes in here. And the last 2 in the grid. So all 1, 2s, 3s are done. Now that's interesting. This pattern here is affected by that 4. So 4's in one of those 2 cells. That puts 4 in one of these 2 cells, which is not that helpful. Down this column, just 3 digits to place, 4, 5, and 7. Okay, that's now interesting because similarly to over here, these 2 have to be consecutive digits. We know they don't involve 1, 2, and 3. We now know they are not 4 and 5 because that would be impossible to fit 2 more numbers into there. So they're either 5 and 6, 6 and 7, which is possible, or 7 and 8, which is also possible. Obviously not 8 and 9 because of that 9. 9 and 9. So one of these circles is a 9, which will need a 2 with its 7 and an 8 with its 1. I don't know how to use that yet. So what have we got over here? These aren't as restricted because 4, 5's possible over here. I'm still going to fill in the possibles. 4, 5, 6, 7 there. 5, 6, 7, 8, making the total 6, 7, 8, 9. The total here is 7, 8, or 9. How can we use this better? That's lovely. Look, if this was the 9, in one of these 2 cells has to be a 9. If it was this one, this becomes 8. And now where does 8 go? In box 4. That cell and this 8 that we've had to put in here rule out all of those. So apparently 8 has to go here, but then that makes this one 9. And we've just said this is all based on this being 9. So this one is not the 9. Let's do all the pencil marks. But much more importantly, it means this one is the 9 and we get loads of digits. That must be going with an 8 there and a 7 there. 8, 2, 8, 3, 7, 1, 9. 6 is in one of these cells. And therefore this is not 6, so we can place the 6 in box 7 there. 6 is going to be in one of those. And this 8, look, that's looking straight back here. 7, 5, so those green arrows are all done now suddenly. These can't be 5, so that's 5. 5, 3, 9, 4, 2, 6, 3, 1. 5 and 5 means that's 5. We've got 8 and 7 to place in column 8. We can do that thanks to that 7. 4, 8, 9 triple there. 6, 7 pair up here, which we can fill in. Actually, that can't be 9 and that can't be 8. Look, scanning across. 1, 2, 3, 6, 5, 8. So 4, 7 and 9 to go in up here, of which that can't be 9. 4, 8, 5 in the next row, and that one can't be 8. Okay, so that 1 adds to 4, 5, or 8. All of those work to make 5, 6, or 9. What about down here? 2, 9, 1, 3, 6. That can't be 7. So it's 4, 5, or 8. Can't be 8 because of the arrow. So it's 4 or 5. This is 6 or 7, and it can't be 7. So that arrow's done. 6 and a 4. That 4 fixes this. We've got 5 and 7 to fill in there. Now that 6 is looking up there. Takes out the 6 and the 5. Doesn't quite finish this off. 6, 2, 1, 4, 3. That is a naked single. 7, 5 in the row, 9 in the column. That has to be 8. That fixes this as a 4, and the last arrow is done. Brilliant. 5, 8. And now I think we're probably on the home stretch. That 5 sorts out that 7, 5 pair. 7 and 9 go in there. That fixes 4 and 9. Ooh, what have I done? Hope I didn't ruin something else. 4, 5 there. Yes, all those bottom 3 boxes are done. 4 and 8 up in column 2. That's not a 7. So 9 and 4 are a pair. That finishes the top row. And now we literally are just finishing off the puzzle. And what a nice puzzle. I mean, a really clever, apparently symmetrical arrow formation. But in practice, it doesn't quite work symmetrically. Partly because of those 36s, which are the same answer, but are not symmetrical. And partly because only one of these can be a 9 in a way. That's how I see it. I mean, there are other reasons the symmetry doesn't work. Now, let's check. Have I done anything wrong? Doesn't look like it. So as long as those arrows work, this is the solution. It's a really nice puzzle, very nice example of arrow Sudoku. And thanks very much to Nityant for sending it in, for Prasanna for helping him with it, and to you for watching. Hope to see you again very soon on Cracking the Cryptic. Bye for now.